All right. Thank you, one and all. Let me say that your message has been heard. Certainly, as I reflect back, the draft document was not intended to be a final collection of work. It was intended to be a beginning. And we've heard you loud and clear. And thank you for being here today, and thank you for so articulately putting your case in front of the EQB board. Thank the industry also for being here today. Appreciate that very much. All right, let's move on then. Oh, and by the way, I did put on this document, read this for my own, so I will probably remember it. I've got a great memory, but it's a little short. Okay, let's move then, Jeff, to SIlica Sand update, and we'll see if we can't knock this out in the next, 10 minutes?
Not fast.
Not fast.
I can do that. However, I will ask your indulgence on something. I feel like there's been a rather ugly accusation thrown out at me, and I would like to actually explain that to the public.
Sure.
There was a statement that clearly implied that I was somehow in cahoots with the sand industry by taking part in a conference that they're putting on. I think it's unfortunate when people make such statements as a form of an accusation. It's like starting a witch hunt, and that really doesn't help anybody. It certainly doesn't help the public understand what's going on. I was invited, I got a call from a company putting together a conference on the logistics of frac sand around the United States, asking me if I would participate on a panel and a pre-conference workshop to talk about regulatory activities going around the country. Since we have so many things going on relating to regulatory things in Minnesota, I said, well, send me some information. They sent me something. I said, yeah, I can contribute to that. Let me check with my superiors, the PCA, basically the people who hold the purse strings, if this is a good thing to do, if this is possible. They said, yeah, that'd be useful. So I think that would work, particularly because you can learn a lot about what the industry is going on. So there's questions about what's the future of the market and things like that. Got back to them, this all via email, but at this point, it said, yes, receive permission to take part in this. Send me more information when you can. Well, a week or so went by, and I didn't hear anything. So I did a little research into this company and found this conference that they're putting on. And I went through it, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, from how there's an issue in Minnesota about rail accessibility for the sand. Is that going to be an issue? Over in Wisconsin, they're actually rejuvenating and building new rail lines to serve the sand industry. I think this is real interesting information that I can bring back. So I was looking through that and went, okay, and then I got to the pre-conference workshop, and I am the panel. I was like, whoa, what? I don't know what's going on with international regulations, So I thought this was pretty funny. So I was the panel in the first half of the morning. The second half is the Commissioner of Railroads for the state of Wisconsin. So I called him on the phone, and I said, have you seen this? He said, no, I haven't even seen what I'm supposed to be talking about. I said to the program, and he was just laughing over the phone. I said, why don't we get together and do what we think can be done here? We can work together and sort of do a tag team on the entire morning. He said, that's a really good idea, so we're going to be working on that. So that's the story behind that. I just thought it'd be a really good opportunity to bring back some information to learn about logistics of frac sand. That's why my supervisor said that would be a good idea to go. That's the story.
Okay. Thank you.
So going on with the update, we have a number of things I went through earlier today. The library, that's happening. We were hoping to have an interactive database that could be accessed by the public. Apparently there are some significant issues with that technology. So that's not going to be possible to do it in that way. What we'll have to do as an interim is load it onto our website. They will be there, but it won't be as a won't be quite as user-friendly as we'd hope. That doesn't mean it can't happen in the future. That's what we're planning to do. We will have it. It will not be complete. That's going to be an entity that's going to be growing weekly as we get more information. I'm still editing down some of the zoning ordinances that we received to just use the pieces that are relevant to sand. So that's the library issue. The technical assistance team, I've been talking with some people from the different agencies. We've got a good start on getting that together. There have been some names suggested for people from Mankato State University. One person suggested from the university. I want to talk with some other people who have dealings with these suggested candidates for the time being to see if there would be assistance. We're trying to avoid just having redundant expertise. If we're going to get more people from the educational institutions, we would like to get people who can bring more than what the DNR geologists and water quality people, the PCA water quality people. We'd like to augment rather than just building redundancy on the team. That's happening. There was a request to have a practice exercise of this team. We can do that. We're a little concerned that it may not, it probably won't be as productive as unfortunately the local government would want. Because really when we get a request from people, it's going to require a certain amount of research and deliberation within the agencies on what would be good recommendations. And that's not something that you can just do sitting at a table with people throwing questions at you, so the venue may not be conducive to really come to any useful recommendations. But perhaps if the board wants us to do that, we can at least show out, these are the kind of questions that we have to ask. This is the methodology, as you were saying before, Commissioner Stein, about how we would go about addressing this. That's a possibility. So, we'll have to talk about that a little more. The rulemaking, the different agencies are put out their initial request for comments. It's very preliminary. As you know, the EQB doesn't even have any draft language. There was a request that was raised again today about having some citizen committee participate in the rulemaking somehow. I'm not sure how that would work. That's something that the EQB or maybe even the subcommittee would deal with. It is basically that element, unlike what everybody was talking like today. Rulemaking is in fact creating law. And creating laws over a 2-year period or so, my experience is that most citizens just roll their eyes and get worn out and don't want to deal with it that long. I've been on a lot of planning processes where we're writing zoning ordinances and things like that. And if that's not the case, that's wonderful.
It's not the case.
Not the case.
Cool. So that, of course, is up to the board to decide how you want to deal with that. If people are interested in participating that way, that would certainly be a nice addition to the process. The central website, oh yes, the different agencies sort of pooled resources, and there is a common SIlica Sand website that people can go to that has links to the different agencies. The links go to whatever each agency wanted to have on their link site. We'll see how well that works over time. It's a nice idea, sort of start here to get information. We can go from there. The multi-facility EIS, I believe, I'm not sure, PCA staffer was working on putting together the draft cost agreement for the scoping process. That was supposed to go out early this week. I haven't talked with him the last couple of days, so I don't know if it actually went out. But that's where it's at. There was a lot of interest from people out in the public on getting together with us and starting to talk about what should be in the EIS, basically talking about the scope of the document. Unfortunately, for certain perspectives, the rules on preparing an EIS in 4410 explicitly say Scoping shall not begin until the agency receives funding, receives the check from the project proposer to pay for the scoping. So that's a restriction to make sure that the state government is not footing the bill for preparing the document. So did explain that to people. I understand why that would make them unhappy, but when we get the check from, when the agreement gets signed, when we get the check from whatever the company's going to be called, I don't think they're going to be called Minnesota Sands anymore, then we can start up with that process. So that's what that's about. I think that's all my updates. Any questions from the board? Glad to field them.
Not, thank you very much, Jeff. I failed to